Ooh, man, I gotta talk about this. Oh, we gotta talk about this. Woo! This is something special. This is something special. Aaron Rodgers today at his press conference. Oh, man. This might be my favorite Aaron Rodgers moment because this was him keeping it 100% real. He aired out the Packers organization, specifically that front office. And man, what he had to say was something important, and it was something special. Before we get into that, I do have some news. Obviously, we've already known about the developments of this, but it is official for the most part. The Texans have traded Randall Cobb to the Packers. I believe they're getting the 6th-round pick from the Packers, so that's cool. Randall Cobb does reunite with Aaron Rodgers again, which should help him out. So now Aaron Rodgers has 2 reliable weapons in Randall Cobb and Davante Adams. These are 2 guys he has a great chemistry and connection with. They're reliable targets. And when Randall Cobb was a Packer, he was one of his most reliable targets. So it's great. These guys have worked with each other. They know what they're doing. So it's great to have him back on the Packers. This helps out Aaron Rodgers, and this helps out the offense. But let's get into this whole press conference. So the last time Aaron Rodgers has actually talked to the media, or at least had like a full press conference like this, was probably back in January, just before the NFC Championship game occurred. Obviously, we know in that championship game, the Packers would go on to lose to the Bucks. Bucks would go on to win the Super Bowl. So, yeah, after that, I don't think he was talking to the media. And obviously, this whole situation started picking up steam around March and April. And, Aaron Rodgers chose not to come to OTAs and minicamp, so the media couldn't talk to him there. So this is the first time he's addressing the media and addressing this situation. And boy, he had some things to say for the most part. He definitely had some things to say. For one, his overall message in terms of what happened regarding this situation was he wanted to be part of the Packers' future. He wanted to be a resource in the future of the Green Bay Packers. It wasn't a money thing. It wasn't anything like that. For the most part, he wanted to know that he was a part of their future. Not just somebody that in 2 or 3 years they're going to replace. He wanted to know if he was still a part of their future. And the way they could have shown him that was by allowing him to have an input or a say in the recruitment process. In terms of recruiting players and dealing with free agency, Aaron Rodgers wanted to have a part in that. The man's not saying he wants to have a huge influence in like what happens regarding drafting or something like that. No, he just wanted to have a part or a say in the recruitment process because he clearly stated it. When it comes to these players and these free agents, they're not coming to Green Bay for anything else other than him. They're coming to Green Bay for him. They're coming there because of him, because they know what he brings to the table. If they can come and work with a quarterback like him, they have a chance to compete for a championship and win a Super Bowl. They're coming to Green Bay for him. They're coming to play with him. That was his main emphasis right there. So he understands. He knows he's such an important piece to this franchise, and he hopes that the team and the organization understands he's such an important piece to this franchise that him being involved in the recruitment should have been something that should have been done from a long time ago and something he wanted to do because that would be a huge help. They're coming here. All these players are coming to play alongside him because they understand what he brings to the table, which is why he wanted to have more of a voice and an input as to how the recruitment process and free agency was going in terms of picking up free agents and signing them to the team. He wanted an input in that, and the Packers were like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to give you an input in that. That's not what we're trying to do. And Aaron Rodgers looked at the situation saying, well, since that's the case, it doesn't really seem like you guys want me to have an input. Now, involving the Jordan Love pick, he himself said it wasn't really about that, for the most part. It wasn't about that. He's not necessarily pissed off that they chose another quarterback. It wasn't that. It was more so about you chose this other quarterback and, you say you're devoted to me. I'm just coming off this year of winning an MVP. I'm still playing like an elite quarterback. We were at back-to-back NFC Championship appearances, and I'm still playing at a high level. You draft this quarterback, and at the same time, you don't let me have any input as to what's happening. You don't seem to draft any other player that is set up to help us win a championship. When you look back at that draft, all these guys have really drafted were guys to develop. These are guys that are developing over time. We're competing for a Super Bowl right now, and you're not letting me have an input as to what we could do or say as to who we could potentially recruit and try to bring to the team. We're trying to compete now, and you guys are busy drafting players and looking for players that are going to be developmental players that are going to develop over time. Meanwhile, I'm trying to win a Super Bowl here. I don't have that many years left. So that was the whole situation with him. He just wanted to have a say in the recruitment process and, free agency in terms of bringing players here to come play with him. But the organization wasn't really looking to do that. They're not looking to give him that type of power. And because of that, he looks at that, and then he looks at the fact that they drafted this guy in Jordan Love, and he's thinking to himself, well, you got this new quarterback here that you drafted who could potentially be my replacement, and you haven't shown me any signs of me being a part of the future of this organization. So at this point, why should I sit here and be a lame duck? Why should I sit here and continue to play for you guys? At this point, he really was like, I don't want to be a lame duck. I don't want to sit here and waste away the rest of my career when I could just go somewhere else and still be productive there. If you guys don't want to, get me involved and show me that I'm still a part of the future of this franchise, then what's the point of keeping me here? You drafted this quarterback already. You drafted him, Jordan Love. That's supposed to be your guy. So at this point, I still have a couple of years left. You drafted your guy, clearly. Why don't you let him take the keys and you can trade me to another franchise? That was his whole thing. Overall, he just wanted to have a say as to how they would go about the recruitment process as to recruiting players to Green Bay, as well as the whole free agency process. He wanted to have an input in that, and he feels at this point in his career, he deserves to have that type of input, which again, I don't disagree with, because Aaron Rodgers is the Packers franchise. This team, a lot of people will sit there and be like, they could have easily made it without. No, this team would not be a playoff team without Aaron Rodgers. There are plenty of seasons when you can go back and look throughout the 2010s where they would not have made the playoffs if Aaron Rodgers was not the quarterback. So this man's more than proven himself. He's more than proven himself. So he should have a say as to what weapons or what guys we can bring in to help lead this team to a championship. That's all he wanted. He wanted a say. He wanted to be a resource in the Packers organization's future. He wanted to be a resource for them, but they didn't want to give him any of that. They did not want him involved in the drafting process. They didn't want him involved in the recruitment process. They didn't want him involved in free agency. They didn't want him involved in any of that. And since that was the case, and he's looking at the situation, thinking to himself, it doesn't seem like you guys want me to be involved in anything regarding the future of this team. Why are you still keeping me here then? You already got your quarterback. You drafted him. He was a first-round draft pick. You don't draft a quarterback in the first round if you're not looking to put him up here. You drafted my replacement, so why don't you put him in front of here and you can trade me to a different team? Clearly, you guys don't see me as the guy for the future for you guys. You keep saying, I'm the future here. He's still our future quarterback. He's here for years. You're still saying all these things, but you're not letting me have any input. And I've proven myself at this point in my career. You're not letting me have any input in. But you keep telling me I'm part of the future. I have no say as to the future of this team and this organization in terms of trying to compete for championships and bringing in guys that can help us reach that goal. I have no input in that, but you keep telling me I'm a part of your future and I'm the franchise quarterback. Yet you have another quarterback who you drafted in the first round that could easily replace me. So he's looking at this whole situation, and that's kind of where he's looking at this whole situation and thinking to himself, it doesn't seem like they're really committed to me long term. I'm not involved in anything regarding the future of this team, and they've already drafted my replacement. At this point, trade me to another team. It's clear as day, you don't see me as part of your future. That's basically how he took it. And that's kind of what started this whole thing. It's not about money. It wasn't because they picked Jordan Love. It was about the fact that he wanted to be a resource for this front office, this organization. He wanted to be involved in the recruitment process and free agency. And the Packers were like, no. So since Aaron Rodgers is looking at this and thinking, since you don't want me to be a part of that and you're already drafting this guy, how can I sit here and say you guys regard me to be part of the future of this franchise? You clearly don't see me like that because you're not letting me do anything. And I've proven myself throughout my career. These guys are coming to Green Bay to play with me because they understand that they can play alongside me. They can help me and this team as a whole get to a Super Bowl. That's why they're coming to Green Bay. Nobody comes to Green Bay for anything else. He basically said, man, nobody's coming to Green Bay for vacations. He clearly stated that. They're coming here for me. So if they're coming here for me, why can't I have a say as to who we can bring in, who we should recruit, who can help us accomplish our goal of potentially reaching overall reaching and winning a Super Bowl? That was his whole point. He went off into other tangents, man. He definitely talked about the organization, threw him under the bus for how they've treated past players, like Randall Cobb, Micah, talking about James Jones and a bunch of other people, Woodson, like all these guys that were productive. The franchise chose to either not give them another contract, they chose to lowball them on the contract, or while the player was on the way out, they weren't treated with the respect that they should have. He called out the organization for that. He called them out for a lot of things. Aaron Rodgers did not hold back in his press conference, and I love it. Some of the things he was throwing out there was the exact same things many of us have been talking about regarding this organization. I was one to clearly state, though I don't think I was making videos at the time, I clearly stated that there was no reason for them to get rid of Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson worked so well with Aaron Rodgers. There was no reason not to bring him back. Hell, the guy was willing to take a huge pay cut to stay on the team. And they said, nope, we don't want you, Jordy. And yeah, he went on to Oakland and didn't, do much there, but he was productive here. Speaking of that, one of the reporters actually did challenge Aaron Rodgers regarding that. They said, well, you're saying this about them not treating these players well and just letting them go and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of these players you're talking about, they went to other teams and they didn't play well. And Aaron Rodgers' main point is, yeah, that is the case. Some of these guys didn't go play well in these other teams. But the fact of the matter is, they were playing well here. The chemistry they had here was working. The impact they had to this team was still there. And some of these guys were willing to take pay cuts to stay on this team because they wanted to be here and they understand what they bring to the team. So maybe they didn't work out in those other locations, but they were still working out here. And had the organization chosen to keep these guys, whether they would accept the pay cut or just find a way to keep them on the team, had they would have chosen to do so, maybe we could have still been able to be successful and potentially have won a Super Bowl. So, you never know. And that he has a point with that, because you never know. Sometimes a player can go to another team and not have an impact there, but the team they were playing for before, they had a huge impact. Like, you could be on the Niners and have such an impact there, but then you go to the Raiders, who have a completely different scheme and how things operate there, and all of a sudden you're not the same player you were when you were with the Niners. That happens. So yeah, man, this press conference was something special. It was something different. I love seeing Aaron Rodgers just keep it 100% real, airing out this organization and just speaking his frustrations, because his main point just had to deal with the fact that he just wanted to be, part of the future of the Packers. He wanted an input in the recruitment and the recruitment process and free agency, as well as a little bit in the draft. But it was more so about free agency and, who they're looking to pick up, because the recruitment process, he wanted to be involved in that a lot more and help out the organization, but they weren't really willing to budge with that. So that's one thing that kind of started the conflict. Not to mention that, plus Jordan Love being drafted and all these other developmental players that you're drafting instead of drafting weapons that can help us win now. You put that all together, and Aaron Rodgers is looking at this and saying, I don't want to be a lame duck. I don't want to be here and waste the rest of my prime career on a team that you're developing. I have no say. I'm not helping out with the future. It's clear that I'm not the future for you guys. You've already drafted my replacement. I don't want to waste the rest of my elite years on this team. Trade me somewhere else. You've got Jordan Love. He could be the future for you guys. Trade me somewhere else. And that's what started this whole thing. So, yeah, this press conference was very interesting. Aaron Rodgers, I'm not lying. My favorite moment with this guy, man. My favorite moment with this guy. That press conference was something different. It was something special. And I think it was a long time coming. It was definitely a long time coming. With that being said, man, that is all I got. And I'm out of here, man. Peace.